What's up, friends? Welcome in to another edition of Rock Chalk Sports on your hump day, getting your Wednesday going here. KansasNation.com, ESPN Kansas City, live on Facebook, live on YouTube as well, with Elijah Schmidt behind the cameras. I'm Sean Kellerman, rolling you through this week of Rock Chalk Sports. A lot to get to as usual here. We're going to fill you in on some KU baseball news here in the opening segment. Next segment, we're going to bring on Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com. Henry does fantastic work over there. We've utilized his articles a lot. We're very grateful for that. And one of the best reporters that we've got here in Lawrence covering KU. We're going to have Henry on to talk a little KU baseball, a little KU football, KU basketball, and then he's going to stick around for the mailbag segment. Henry Mailbag, as you guys have sent in your questions, send in your comments. Appreciate that on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Twitter and Instagram at the Kansas Nation, Facebook, Kansas Nation. A lot of stuff to get to. We got food questions. We've got KU baseball, KU basketball questions. We've got some questions as it relates to money and dying, which is something that we're used to getting. So interesting. Everybody's minds work a little bit different. So we're going to make sure to hit on all of that here in our KU mailbag segment. Talking Kansas City Royals baseball, as they won again last night, 5-3. Jack Caglione, a couple of homers. That was really good to see. And the Royals found a way to get it done. Again, Alex Lang closed the door for the Royals against the Texas Rangers. Royals trailed this one early, and they were going up against a really good pitcher in Nathan Eovaldi. They found a way to get to Nasty Nate despite trailing 2-0. And again, credit Cags for getting it done. Loved seeing that. Talking NBA Finals, NHL, Stanley Cup as well. So a full show today here on Rock Chalk Sports. Also, the World Cup. It's here. It's starting tomorrow at 2 p.m. So when we go on air tomorrow, the World Cup will already be in action. It's about a month-long event, of course, here in the United States. We've got Algeria here in Lawrence, Argentina among the teams in the Kansas City area as well. Of course, Argentina, they won the World Cup back in 2022. So been really exciting to see that kind of come together. And Argentina is going to be, as expected, a team that is followed very closely for obvious reasons. So Argentina, and knocking off France, they got it done in 2022. And now here we are 4 years later, getting a chance to host it here in the United States. Again, I think a lot of Lawrenceans are going to be cheering for Algeria. You probably saw on social media a couple days ago that Algeria has arrived in Lawrence, and there's actually going to be a practice that's made available to the media, kind of a training session, if you will, that we're going to have coverage for you here on KansasNation.com. Again, and across our socials, find us on Instagram and Facebook in particular, at the Kansas Nation on Instagram and Kansas Nation on Facebook. Want to make sure that you stay up to date on all that. Kind of become Lawrence's team, Algeria, here in the World Cup. All right, let's get into this Kansas baseball chatter here in the opening segment. Came out yesterday. Head coach Dan Fitzgerald has been named Perfect Game's National Coach of the Year. He is the first National Coach of the Year in Kansas history. Unsurprisingly, Coach Fitz was named back-to-back Big 12 Coach of the Year. Kansas got 3 championships in this season that recently concluded just on Monday here in Lawrence. They got Big 12 regular season champions. They hadn't won a conference regular season title in 77 years. Big 12 tournament title, they went 20 years in between doing that. And then, of course, they won the Lawrence Regional title as well. No, it didn't end as we hoped on Sunday and Monday with Kansas losing Game 2 to Oklahoma in the Super Regionals, but a lot to be proud of here for our Jayhawks. And Coach Fitz, what he's done in 4 years, we've talked about it over and over again, but it's truly mind-boggling. A Kansas program that is in a cold weather state in regards to college baseball and sort of has been middling toward bottom tier of the Big 12 for quite some time. Coach Fitz has rejuvenated it. We've seen the unbelievable scenes at Hoagland Ballpark, particularly the regionals, the super regionals, the expansion of the seats. You now have seats in at the outfield and left field in the backyard. You got the extended bleachers that came about in the super regionals behind the right field fence. The fan buzz that, again, respectfully, was nowhere to be seen before Coach Fitz got here. He has rejuvenated this program and, again, made KU not only a champion but a national contender, to the point where they were so close to getting to Omaha for the Men's College World Series for just the second time ever. So, yeah, a lot to talk about. KU, of course, in the NCAA tournament, 2 straight years. In Coach Fitz's second year back in 2024, we referenced this when we were previewing the KU versus Oklahoma Super Regional. Kansas was close to making the NCAA tournament in just the second year under the helm of or under the regime of head coach Dan Fitzgerald, but they fell as a bubble team to Oklahoma in the Big 12 tournament and weren't able to get it done. But back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances since then. KU tied the school record with that 93 College World Series team with 45 wins and, of course, hosted the Lawrence Regional and the Lawrence Super Regional, words that were never put together in the past because it had never happened. Back-to-back seasons, Fitz has guided KU to at least 20 conference wins for the first time ever. KU is the first Big 12 team with 20 conference wins in consecutive seasons since Nebraska did so back in 2000 and 2001. Think about that. That is incredibly impressive. KU also won 7 consecutive Big 12 series for the first time in program history. And as we've discussed, all sorts of single-season records. Conference wins with 22. Road or neutral site wins with 24. Conference series wins with 8. Home runs with 112, slugging percentage at .507, and strikeouts as a pitching staff with 610. And we'll get to those individuals who have set those records as well. But KU, one of 5 teams nationally to have multiple double-digit winning streaks this season. Both of those came during a 30-game stretch when Kansas went 27-3. A .937 win percentage in the month of April was included in that stretch. 27-3 in a 30-game stretch. Absolutely incredible. KU is the only team in the country, despite not making College World Series, and no matter what happens for the 8 teams that are in the College World Series, the Hawks are the only team in the country who will finish 2026 with at least 45 overall wins, 20 conference wins, and 20 road wins. Of course, individually, Fitz oversaw the development of Tyson LeBlanc, who set a new single-season record with 25 homers, started every game at shortstop, was all Big 12 first team, and also was named most outstanding player, not just of the Big 12 tournament, but of the Lawrence Regional as well. KU, under Coach Fitz, as he was hired back on June 15th, 2022, is 144-90, .615 winning percentage. Fitz took over a last-place team in the conference, and as I said, Kansas is now a national contender. KU, over the last 2 years, has accumulated 81 regular season wins. That's the most of any Big 12 team and one of 8 Division I programs to compile that many victories. Also, and we've talked about this regarding the talent that Coach Fitz has brought in and will continue to bring in, 19 Jayhawks have moved on to play professional baseball in Coach Fitz's first 3 seasons. That number is going to continue to grow. Of course, LeBlanc, Dominic Vagley, they're going to be drafted. They're going to play pro ball, as are a lot of other guys that we're going to get into here very shortly. But a lot of these guys, the 2026 roster, are expected to continue their baseball careers professionally as well. So a lot of feathers in the cap of head coach Dan Fitzgerald, as he, as I said, was named Perfect Games National Coach of the Year. Very cool for the back-to-back Big 12 Coach of the Year in Dan Fitzgerald. Henry Greenstein, who's going to join us here a little bit later, has a great article up on KUSports.com, LJWorld.com, talking about who can return for KU baseball. We know that this gets a little murky in regards to NIL and the transfer portal, of course, and additional years, NCAA waivers, everything that's going on. It's a mess right now. We know that, but we can tell you which guys will not be able to come back to Lawrence, which guys were honored on Senior Day, and, of course, guys that we expect to move on to the next level. One thing that Coach Fitz and his recruiting coordinator, John Coyne, have done is, again, they've been able to find a way to bring in more talent than it seems like anybody else. Their talent evaluation, I think, is what sets Kansas apart, and that's why KU has been so successful. There are other things that we talk about when you mention the culture, the continuity, the alignment with Coach Fitz and the KU athletic department and all of that. But you got to have guys, as we talk about. And Coach Fitz, as I just said, with 19 guys, his first 3 seasons playing professional ball, including a bunch of names that you all recognize. Jabril Easley is on that list, of course. Brady Council is on that list, and I could go on and on. But now there's going to be even more guys, headlined, of course, by LeBlanc and Vagley. Kansas didn't have that type of minor league, major league talent like they have had since Coach Fitz has got here, and they're going to continue to bring in guys. And some of these guys who are set to depart are going to have a chance at the next level. The Senior Day participants this past Senior Day for Kansas: Jordan Bach, Maddox Burkett, Cannon Carr, Josh Dykoff, Carter Fink, Dariel Osoria, Toby Scheidt, and Max Solis Jr. Bach was consistently the starter for KU in right field, and Dykoff consistently at first. Remember, Dykoff came in from Bluffton, Minnesota. Brady Ballinger was the first baseman last year for Kansas. Dykoff comes in, takes over first base. Ballinger goes out to left field. And Dykoff, really in this past month, came alive for KU. He had 16 homers and 56 runs batted in for the season. He's the type of guy that I would think Coach Fitz and the coaching staff probably envisioned leading this team in homers. He didn't start quite as hot, I think, in the power department as the coaching staff would have thought, but he came along late, and also nobody expected the 25 homers from LeBlanc. So you had a little bit of a righty-lefty situation there, not to mention guys like Cade Baldridge, who is a switch hitter, hitting third consistently for KU. He had a lot of great moments, and you shake your head because he wasn't able to participate in the Super Regional, and you feel bad for him on that front. And, these guys are going to continue to be remembered as part of the best team that KU baseball has ever had, if not second best, depending on how people feel about 1993. Of course, the 93 team that went to the Men's College World Series, they didn't participate in the Super Regionals because there were only 48 teams, but still very, very impressive what KU baseball has done. Osoria, a guy I mentioned, he's been a part of this program. He had that walk-off grand slam against Omaha that will be remembered for a long time because that kind of sparked the KU baseball fan base, I would say, as Kansas kind of got that baseball town energy once that happened. He slumped a little bit this year. Wasn't probably what we envisioned for Osoria or Brady Ballinger in terms of production offensively, but still they had their really good moments. Max Solis Jr., initially a guy who started his career at Arkansas. He came in, had some really big moments, particularly when Ballinger wasn't able to play late in the season. He also cannot come back. Cannon Carr, we didn't get to see a lot of him in the postseason for KU, but he's a guy that proved he could be a starter, he could be a reliever, he could be a bulk guy. So those are some of the guys who aren't going to come back for KU. Again, the biggest losses that you're going to have from guys who are not in the senior class are LeBlanc and Vagley, who we don't know how early they'll be drafted in the MLB draft, but they will be drafted early. LeBlanc has proven he can do pretty much anything, plays the most difficult position defensively, has unbelievable pop, and of course, Vagley, a guy who was hitting 97 pretty consistently in the Lawrence Regional and Super Regional. Interesting, I think, when you're looking at this from an individual standpoint of guys who maybe could come back, Brady Ballinger is probably at the top of the list because Ballinger, as I said, was the first baseman his sophomore season. He was consistently hitting up in the 360s, 370s before slumping a little bit down the stretch. He, as a sophomore, I think, was coming back to KU expected to be, as a junior, maybe the best all-around player on this team. Didn't quite go as planned. He didn't exactly have the power. He wasn't quite as productive offensively. Wasn't drawing quite as many walks. So I think going into this season, you're thinking, okay, this is Brady's last year. Now, you don't know for sure. Perhaps Brady will go to the draft and look for professional opportunities. Again, who knows? But he is a guy who could come back and hopefully regain a little bit of that form from his sophomore year. Obviously, he's a fan favorite with the Balls chance and everything going on. He's somebody that I think will be welcomed back with open arms, and that would be a nice jolt for the KU baseball program here in the offseason. And then you've got Bodie Ray and Matisse Nayrall, guys who had more than their fair share of moments throughout their season at KU. Nayrall definitely more up and down, but Bodie Ray, a guy who started a couple games for KU, he kind of turned into that closer fireman role. He talks all the time about how he's a pitcher, not a closer. He was the most dependable arm out of KU's bullpen, and he was able to be out on the mound for some of KU's biggest moments this season. So you look at Bodie Ray. You also have guys on the offensive side, in addition to Ballinger, like Augusto Mungarieta. He's a guy who could come back. He hit 17 homers, hitting .292 with a .970 OPS. You also had Cade Baldridge as an opportunity to come back. Again, a switch hitter in the middle of the lineup. If you are able to get these guys back for next season, that's a fantastic middle of your order. in a world where you get Ballinger, Baldridge, Mungarieta, that's a great start for Kansas offensively, and we'll have to wait and see. But, of course, Tyson Owens in center field, he had the home run against BYU that ended up being the conference winner in the regular season for Kansas that made it 7-6 in that second game in Provo. He had power. He came on late as well. Type of guy that could really deliver and improve. You don't know what the future will look like for Savion Flowers. He had huge moments in the Big 12 tournament, particularly against Baylor, that RBI single, and then the walk-off homer. He was named to the All-Big 12 tournament team. Didn't play a lot, so you wonder kind of what his future will be, but certainly a guy that's beloved in the clubhouse as well. Mason Cook, a sophomore who could come back. He was the Saturday starter for KU. And then Ryan Ritter, who came over from St. Thomas. We heard Coach Fitz talk the other day about how Ritter is in line to be a weekend guy next year. Don't be surprised if Ritter is the Friday night starter for Kansas. Now, we'll see what additions KU has heading into to 2027, but Ryan Ritter proved again, outside of Ray, he was the guy that Coach Fitz depended upon out of the bullpen. And, you know, with kind of how the starting rotation, the weekend rotation shook out for Kansas baseball, he wasn't able to be in there, but as Coach says, you got to have one of your top 3 and 2 of your top 5 out of the bullpen, and Ritter and Ray, definitely 2 of the top 5. They were a huge part of the KU bullpen. So a lot of question marks, that would be fair to say, regarding KU baseball, and we're going to ask Henry about that after a kind of a disappointing 3-day stretch it ended up being at Hoagland Ballpark. KU was outscored 21-3, which was really shocking and not indicative of how well this Kansas team was playing down the stretch. Again, they went from 10-8 to 45-16 before ending the season 45-18, and that stretch included a 27-3 30-game stretch for KU baseball. So lots to look forward to. Hopefully we get a lot of these familiar names and faces back, because college sports is more fun when that's the case. But we have to wait and see. Point is, everything has gone well for the most part since head coach Dan Fitzgerald has been here. His 4 seasons, Kansas has continued to improve. They've hit a new landmark each season, it seems. And I'm going to be here hoping that we get guys like Baldridge, Mungarieta, perhaps Ballinger and Ray back. We'll have to wait and see, but exciting. And shout out to Coach Fitz for being named Perfect Games National Coach of the Year. What an honor for the man who already was back-to-back Big 12 Coach of the Year. Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal-World will join me for an extended stay after this here on Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, and KansasNation.com.
Hey, Kansas fans, Coach Bill Self here, and you're watching Kansas Nation.
$1,500 cash incentive. Get into a 2026 Tundra for 2.99 APR and a $1,000 cash incentive. 2026 Toyota Camry Hybrids, 3.99 APR, and 4Runner models, 4.99 APR.
Together, we're elevating our potential, our pride, our traditions, and our dreams. Together, we're opening up a whole new world of possibilities. Elevate your University of Kansas experience with Jayhawk checking from Central Bank. Central Bank and KU, elevating together.
This is SSJ. Winter in Kansas City doesn't mean your lawn takes a break. It means smart homeowners get a head start. Let David and his crew from Custom Lawn and Landscape prepare your yard for a greener, healthier spring with winter fertilization, soil conditioning, and pre-emergent treatments that stop weeds before they start. Because when the snow melts, you don't want to start fixing your lawn, you want to already be winning. Trust Custom Lawn and Landscape, treating your yard now so it looks incredible later. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your winter services today.
Hoping to find a hot deal on a new side-by-side? Can-Am is offering fresh deals for summer. Save up to $1,500 on 2026 Can-Am Defender models at Hanni Outdoor Power Equipment. The Defender is a versatile side-by-side utility vehicle that's built to work hard and play hard. And Hanni Outdoor Power Equipment will give you their best deal with up to $1,500 off. Offer ends June 30th. For complete details and a great deal on a great new ride, see Hanni Outdoor Power Equipment in Lawrence.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports. That is not Dan Courtwright. That is Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com. He's going to join me for a couple segments here as Dan is soaking in some sun. I want your thoughts on that here, Henry, here in a second. But Crown Automotive on South Iowa in Lawrence, Miles Schneier and his team will get you in the vehicle that you need. Great service staff, great sales staff over at Crown. Again, founding partners of us here at Kansas Nation. We cannot thank them enough. And Miles Schneier is the Lawrence Citizen of the Year.
Heard that.
How about that?
What an interesting fact.
I know, a great factoid there. But they've got a great line of Toyotas. If you're looking for a Tundra, RAV4, Camry, Corolla, whatever it is, they've got you taken care of over at Crown Automotive. And if you're not local, check them out online at crownautomotive.com. Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com. Man, you have been in the trenches writing articles, which I have utilized these last couple days. Talking KU baseball, some guys who might be able to return. KU football, of course, that was a big deal yesterday. We're kind of recapping the 7 guys who committed after their visits. So I want your thoughts on that. But what's your stance on Courtwright being in Cancun? Is that a place that you would like to go for your honeymoon, or is that a place that that you would fade? Because my understanding is that you don't exactly tan as well as someone perhaps with the olive skin tone.
No, I definitely do not have the right complexion for it, and I probably should wear sunblock a lot more than I actually do, because I just turn straight pink and find myself in excruciating pain every time I'm exposed to sun for too long. So, yeah, I don't know that I'll be headed to Cancun in the near future, but as he said the other day, he now gets 2 honeymoons.
Yeah, I know.
How is that fair?
Yeah, he acts like it's not. He's like, oh, no. This is how he says it. Well, we were going to go to London, and then Piper was able to get through her work. Piper was able to get the trip to Cancun. It's like, well,
Hey.
I'm gonna go to Cancun. You know, I mean that's exactly what it is. So your honeymoon location, since Courtwright has 2 or 3 planned. Say there's a world where you only get 1 honeymoon.
Yeah.
Are you going to Greece?
Ooh,
That
that's
seems
a really
like
good one.
I was gonna say that seems like a place you
The
might want to go.
Mediterranean climate agrees with me as a Californian.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
of course.
a good one.
Right.
Where did
my
you go?
wife, we went to Aruba.
Oh, sweet.
We went to Aruba, and it was fantastic. I don't know that we'll go back because I think we saw it all.
It's pretty small.
It's a small island. Little UTV tour, but yeah, white sand beaches. It was interesting because it's not like when I think about beaches, I think of, I don't know, and maybe this is just me assuming everything is Kansas weather, but I think of like 90 degrees and sunny. And, Aruba was like the kind of, windy and, 84 and some overcast and, so it was a little different.
Okay.
But man,
So you want it to be 90 degrees?
I want it to be, I want it
Okay,
to just burn through my skin.
All right.
Yes. And then you can take a dip in the ocean and all that.
But part of the appeal of the Caribbean is supposed to be that you don't have your skin absolutely scorched by.
yeah, I know. So
Wow.
I'm maybe not as interested. Like I want, give me the Florida heat or the Mexico heat, whatever it is. But no, I'm
All
in.
right.
My favorite vacation though was Costa Rica. Have you been?
I have not.
Yes. You should go. I think you would love it.
There was a trip in my high school that a lot of people went on. We had like a 2-week period where all classes shut down, and there were like hyper-specific things you could do, and one of them was like sort of a marine biology thing in Costa Rica. I was always a little envious of the people who got to do that.
It's so cool. It's so cool. Like you're in the rainforest, of course, so it rains, a little bit, but then the sun comes out and then it'll sprinkle. And Caitlin's a Spanish teacher, so we didn't have any problem communicating.
Nice, yeah.
So that was an awesome trip. But yeah, I think Greece is your spot. And Caitlin loves Mediterranean food
Who
too.
am I to disagree with your expert
Yes.
decision making on that?
Of course, right. Like that'd be silly to say the least. Let's start with KU baseball. Kind of a disastrous weekend at Hoagland Ballpark.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bummer. It's one of those things where Kansas played at such a high level for so long. You wanted it to be sustainable, and maybe it wasn't necessarily that it wasn't sustainable. It was just that you ran into a buzzsaw in Oklahoma. The KU offense was nowhere to be found, and then you didn't really have kind of the intangible things that Kansas had done so well, like fielding the ball and winning the strike zone. I felt like that was something Kansas did the majority of the season. It just didn't happen. They were kind of in attack mode too often offensively and not as crisp on the mound. So kind of a bummer end as Oklahoma outscores KU 21-3.
Yeah, it was a brutal pair of games that stretched across 3 days, of course, as we can talk about. But KU really didn't play well in any facet of the game consistently. They didn't pitch well. As you said, they didn't attack the strike zone. It felt like they were on the defensive. They fell behind in counts. Their defense was uncharacteristically bad. There was an error by LeBlanc that set up a home run in the first game that sort of set everything into motion. Cook had that error where he couldn't get the ball out of his glove in a key moment. You know, if they just get out of that little thing unscathed, or at least relatively unscathed, if Ritter's able to get out of that without giving up 3 or 4 more runs, whatever he did, maybe they have a chance to come back like they did in the Arkansas games the previous weekend. But yeah, the offense wasn't there either. So, and you know, Oklahoma has young arms, but they didn't look like it. They looked like veterans who had been on this stage before, despite starting a pair of freshmen. And not only that, Mercurius was able to come back after the rain
I couldn't
delay,
believe that.
which was crazy. I mean, they didn't need him for that much longer. He pitches 1 more inning and then issues a walk. But KU just continued to be unable to take advantage of it. So, yeah, if anything, it was close to the West Virginia series where they kind of bottomed out during the season. And just a disappointing opportunity when you think about being 2 games away from Omaha against a team that was lower seeded and wasn't expected to make it to this point, and having them at home and with all the momentum behind the program. That being said, I have a feeling that despite the way it ended, people will still find a way to look back on this season fondly because of the numerous, relatively unprecedented accomplishments that took place within it. And I have a feeling that the ending will only be just sort of a little asterisk on it.
Yeah, probably so. And we hope that's the case. I mean, obviously the guys played better than they did over the weekend, but 45-16 record before losing those 2 games. And I've said this a bunch, but Oklahoma was playing really well. And sometimes in baseball, that's kind of the story. And sports in general, you know, you run into a team that plays really well. It's not great. But individually, if you don't mind touching on some of the guys, of course, we know that LeBlanc had record-breaking season for Kansas. Vaguely really got his form back. A bummer about Osoria because when we heard from these guys, and Osoria did have a good postseason before the Super Regional. When we heard from these guys before the season, you remember the 2 players that were made available to us were Osoria and Ballinger. And Ballinger, although I don't think power was ever the thing he did best, didn't really find his power this year, ends up with 7 homers, and that was okay. Kansas still broke the record for homers and all that, but batting average took a dip too, and Osoria didn't quite have as good of a season as last year either, so that was a bummer. You did have other guys pick him up, and you can touch on Dykhoff getting hot late. LeBlanc, obviously, everything that he did. Baldridge, a special talent too, being a switch hitter. You know, it came together pretty well, just not toward the end of the Super Regional.
Yeah, it's a testament to the evaluations of the other guys that not having Ballinger or Osoria play at a star level didn't sink this team completely. If anything, it actually had a fairly minimal impact on the ultimate result of the season. But you're right, it was disappointing. Ballinger had come in as a preseason All-American, and I think at least one publication had him as the preseason Big 12 Player of the Year. So for him to be kind of a middle-of-the-order bat, but not extraordinary, was disappointing. I thought he took pretty well to playing in left field, all things considered. Like, he wasn't a defensive liability out there, and for kind of a big, lumbering guy, he's faster than you might think. So that probably helped his long-term pro prospects. I'll be really interested to see if he comes back. My suspicion is he'll get drafted and signed, but I'm not totally sure, because he did put more on tape this year from a defensive perspective, but also hurt his hamate bone right at the end of the year, missed some time due to that. So we'll see exactly what impact that has on him this summer. I'm sure the fans would be delighted to have him back, and that would be a nice name to be able to pencil in the next year's lineup, but we'll see. I actually think the outcome of the season was a little more disappointing for Dario Osoria, simply because he could have been drafted last year potentially.
Yeah.
And, came back and just for his senior year didn't quite attain the same level. He had big moments. The Grand Slam at Oklahoma State comes to mind, the homer in the Lawrence Regional. But he also dropped out of the lineup for 9 games in mid-season. And like I said, the fact that for a team that really did not have a lot of depth beyond its starting lineup, the fact that the 2 expected to be top guys were more sort of like 4th and 5th caliber players, if that were the fact that didn't have a significant negative impact on the team is really impressive. Otherwise, Baldridge was impressive. The fact that he was able to shift from playing center field to second base when Owens came into the lineup was good. Probably a little bit disappointing that he wasn't able to come back for the Super Regional. Not that would have swayed the outcome with losing 2 games by a combined 18 runs, but would have been a nice defensive presence for them to have. And also, like, a guy who was second on the team in batting average, but really didn't get talked about all that much. Moon Garrietta, an emotional leader and one of the top power hitters. If he doesn't get drafted and signed, he could potentially be one of the best players on the team next year. So, a lot of different players who contributed in various ways to get the team to where it is now. I didn't even really touch on the pitchers.
I was going to ask you about Ray and Ritter in particular. You know, Ritter, there's a world where he's a Friday night starter for Kansas. I think, certainly KU will bring in some guys. It wasn't a secret, and this is how it is with pitchers in general, that Ritter wanted to start this year. Guys want to be starting pitchers. Of course, that's how you get the most eyeballs on you and be a weekend guy. And, other perks to being a starter for sure, but he's definitely somebody that I think is going to be prioritized coming back. And then what do you make of Bodie Ray too with the season that he had, and again another guy that has connected with the fans so much. Yeah,
when you're able to reach back for 98 miles an hour to get a strikeout, that's always going to be a favorable attribute. Ritter has the competitive spirit, he has the stuff. I think he just needs to get more consistent, and we saw it at the end of the year with some of his relief appearances. When he didn't have it, he really did not have it. And to be a guy who's counted on to take up huge chunks of games as a weekend starter, you just have to be a little bit more even. And when you don't totally have it, it can't be a calamity the way it was sometimes for Ritter at the end of the year. But I think he'll come back, and I think he'll be a big foundational piece of next year's team. As for Ray, my suspicion is he ultimately gets drafted and signs too. I talked about this a little bit last week on several radio things I did. With Ray, the stuff is good, and it's cool that it comes out of that overhead arm slot, and you can't really see whether he's going to throw the fastball or change up. And that all makes him effective. But I think the mental is really his superior quality, his differentiator. The willingness and the eagerness to have the ball every day that Fitz talked about, and to, we didn't really see him work out of jams as much in postseason play because he basically came in and either didn't allow any runners or exclusively allowed home runs. So it wasn't like a lot of times where he had runners on the base paths. But during the regular season, he got out of so many precarious positions in the later innings. You think about the BYU series or the K-State series or any of the numerous times he was called upon. The fact that he only ended the year with 11 saves really kind of understates his value in terms of the long durations he was asked to play on a number of occasions. So, yeah, Ray was in many ways the heart and soul of this year's team. He was a redshirt junior, so theoretically he could come back. I wouldn't hold your breath necessarily, but we'll see. Because one thing that the past 2 summers have shown for KU baseball is that player movement in college baseball is incredibly unpredictable. 2 years ago, basically every relief pitcher on KU's team got drafted and signed, which Fitz and the staff did not expect at all. Last year, I think it's possible that maybe more people could have gotten drafted than did. So we'll see. And then, of course, sometimes people who you have as incoming high school or transfer players can get drafted too, and that can screw you up. And we can talk about those more as well. But the college baseball offseason is an extremely unpredictable one, and one that, because of the draft being when it is, kind of unfolds in several distinct phases. So we're still in a pretty early one, and there will be a lot left to go. But circling back to the topic you actually asked me about, Ritter and Ray are really valuable, and I think Ritter might even be the national leader in appearances.
I could see it.
Yeah,
I mean, they use him every game.
He had 38 appearances this year. Yeah.
Who was it? Was it last year or the year before? Was it Cranton they used every time, or was it Tegan Kane? I feel like one of those guys they were using
high up there.
all
Cranton
the time.
Was more of a closer, but they definitely relied heavily on those guys.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, I'm going to give you a question that's probably more of a mailbag type question, but last baseball thing here, and kind of trying to map out who's back. I'm going to give you 5 players.
Okay.
And I want you to individually give me a percentage, 70% or otherwise, your confidence that they will be back on KU next year.
Okay.
Due to, in all likelihood, moving on, getting drafted.
This is going to be very, very speculative.
It is. Rampant speculation, that's what we do. All right, well, let's start with Bodie Ray. Your confidence level that he'll be back for KU.
Percentage chance that he's back, I'd say 25%.
Okay, so likely drafted and signed.
That's my expectation.
This is going to be great to cut out. This is going to be a Darion Williams situation. All right, Ryan Ritter.
Oh, well, Ryan Ritter isn't even draft eligible, and so the only way he could leave would be via transfer. And based on the way Fitz was talking about him, I think he stays. So I say 95%.
95%. Okay, good. Very, very confident on that front. All right. Then we've got 3 guys that are draft eligible. Well, I feel like I don't even want to ask you about some of these guys that, I mean, some of them we know are gone. Augusto Mungarieta.
I would say it's tough to know with catchers because it's so specialized. I feel like MLB teams have specific things they look for. I'd say the likelihood of him being back would be maybe like 55%.
Okay, so that's an interesting one because he'll get drafted, you would think.
Probably. But again,
there's
like,
not 50 rounds anymore.
No,
in MLB,
there's now
right.
20 rounds. So they went from 40 and then they shrunk it to 10. They shrunk it to 10 briefly during COVID, and they were like, actually, we can go back to 20.
Yeah.
And actually, there was a really interesting article in Yahoo Sports not long ago about how young players are getting pushed up through the minor leagues so quickly that the complex leagues are now almost entirely full of people who are like really bad in terms of pitching. And anyway, the minor leagues have been degraded quite a bit. That has nothing to do with anything, but just a cool article Jake Mintz wrote on Yahoo.
Hey,
for
you know
all
what?
To check out.
I'm interested in that stuff.
My former college classmate, Jake
Look at
Mintz.
that, really?
Yeah.
Shout out.
We were in a stand-up comedy class my freshman year at WashU when he was a senior.
Well, he better be promoting your stuff on KUSports.com.
I don't think he is. I think they have their own things.
2 more. Cade Baldridge. Didn't get to see him in the Super Regionals. Sucked.
Cade Baldridge, I'd say like especially after getting hurt at the end of the year, I'd say like a 80% chance he's back.
Okay, and then Brady Ballinger.
Okay. So I said 25 for Bodie Ray. I kind of feel like Brady coming back is like a 20%.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think the film that he had from the previous year is all still there. I think the fact that he came back after the hamate bone and still looked like a viable player will assuage any concerns about that. I think he has enough tools to have some team draft him and him sign.
Okay, good to know. Appreciate those insights regarding KU baseball. What a season it was. And we're going to transition right now to KU football. Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com, joining me here on Rock Chalk Sports. Let's talk about the law firm of Brown, Pitchford, Johnson, Powell, Neff, Dorsey, and Williams.
Can you even have that many names?
KU football commits in the class of 2027. Fantastic one article breaking down many of them, and then a fantastic additional article breaking down Jay Williams.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens. You know, you get someone committing in a Sunday morning, you don't necessarily think that you're going to have 5 more people commit over the course of that day, and you immediately regret having done a single article about a single person.
Yeah, well, I mean, how are you supposed to know? And you were over at Court Wrong's wedding as well, so a lot was going on over the weekend. But 3 wide receivers in this group of 7. Maybe just a holistic comment on this because I talked about it yesterday. 16 commits now for KU in the class of 2027. They're all dudes, it seems like.
Yeah.
But every visitor over the weekend committed 7 for 7, and KU's class on 24/7 Sports right now is ranked 4th in the Big 12.
Yeah, 7 for 7 in a visit weekend is not something you hear about very often. That's an extremely impressive accomplishment, especially when you consider, as Jay Williams said in a quote that he gave to John Kirby that I used in that article, like they opened a slot for him. KU, by all accounts, did not go into the weekend thinking that it was going to take 3 wide receivers from that group of 3. They already had Dang Tong in the fold. So the fact that all 3 of them committed and were allowed to do so shows that KU really wants to stockpile young talent at that position. As I noted, like they only have 3 seniors there. And I believe with McMillan, there's even a chance he could potentially get a medical red shirt. Just looking back at his history. But then again, as we saw with Landon Watson, you never know what might happen with a medical red shirt. So all that is to say, clearly an emphasis placed on that position. I don't think KU has had a very good hit rate at wide receiver in recent years, frankly, so we'll see what this class produces. I like the different profiles they got. The speed of Tong is really impressive. The size of Williams and everything in between they got with the other guys. So many different profiles, but if you look back, they've been bringing in 3 or 4 of these guys each year and haven't really retained them all that well. Tate Nagy was obviously an instant impact guy, but otherwise, receiver recruiting hasn't always been the most stellar for KU, so this is maybe a chance to buck that trend. But I don't want to have a negative tone here because this was obviously an extremely impressive weekend. C.J. Johnson has a chance to be the best prospect in the whole class.
Yeah.
it's either him or Oglesby. And what an early victory for Joe Dineen to have, beating out some of the other schools that were on him. Dineen obviously recently elevated to be the full-time defensive ends coach, with Onatolu taking on solely special teams responsibilities. Means Dineen has a more active role in recruiting, something he already showed he could do well when he was at Purdue. And so it must be fulfilling for KU to see that he's carried over that same level of success to getting a player, by the way, out of an area in St. Paul that KU doesn't recruit that often. So that's a big one, and he should figure into the pass rush picture for years to come. Otherwise, I don't know, the Pitchford thing's kind of fun because he was K-State's first commitment for 27 under Colin Klein and ends up decommitting and picking KU. And, as commenters on my article remarked, all these guys had legitimate power conference offers, which is not always the case for people that KU ends up bringing in. So that's a sign of progress. Also, Pitchford and Powell being cousins is cool. Remember Isaiah Marshall and Amir Herring?
That's right. Shout outs.
A couple of sets of cousins in recent years for KU. So I don't know, but anytime you can jump up from, is it 9 to 16 players?
You got it.
In the span of basically 28 hours, that's exceedingly impressive.
Yeah, it is. And again, 24/7 Sports, we read into this a lot because that's what we do. But that's dang good. 4th in the conference. There's a long way to go for 2027. We know that other teams are going to bring in talented guys as well, and KU's not going to be done either. But still, really impressive for KU to win on so many of these guys, especially because, we know the disappointment of the last couple seasons. 5-7 the last couple seasons. KU went 10, 12 years without getting guys with very many stars next to their names and trying to field a Big 12 caliber program, and it hasn't worked. 2026, for what it's worth, this incoming class, the class that, will have their first year here on campus this upcoming season, they were 13th in the Big 12 out of 16 teams. And, who knows what that means? We're going to look at it optimistically because that's what we do. But we're going to say, okay, they're 13th, but look at these guys that we're really high on, like Josh Galbraith and Nate Sims and a couple of the tight ends, Corbin Glasgow, Tyron Parker, the wideout position. So we're going to say we're high on that. But certainly when everybody sees that KU is bringing in a lot of talent for 2027, it's nice to get a little national recognition as well. Because, it's been tough sledding recruiting in the Big 12 for a while, and a Kansas program that was down before Coach Leipold got here, consistently getting in talented players, which, as we know from baseball, that kind of matters. All right, let's talk a little KU basketball. You have an article up on Taylon Kenny and Javon Bardwell. What can you tell us specifically about Bardwell just as a player? Yeah. Because we've heard that he might reclassify, or there was that, potential that he would reclassify, and he's familiar with a lot of the guys on Kansas team, including Tay Kenny. He's a really talented guy that's going to be coming in eventually for KU, and he's been recently playing at the Adidas Euro Camp. And then Tay Kenny, while the other guys have been here in Lawrence practicing, Bardwell has been at Adidas camp and, 2027 player, and then Kenny will eventually join us here for 2026. He's been, of course, playing for the USA. So what can you tell us about those two guys?
Yeah, it's always fun to kind of document these summertime overseas exploits and sort of what the players are getting up to. A couple years ago, like when Storr was playing for the Bahamas and stuff. International basketball is probably something that should be written about more. But I'll start with Bardwell because that's maybe the more positive update overall. The Eurocamp is an interesting thing that Adidas puts on. It's in Treviso, Italy, and there's a team from the 3SSB circuit, which is the Adidas circuit that Bardwell was on. There's teams of various kind of highly touted international players, and they all kind of go up against each other. There's 6 of them in this format where they play 3 games. Well, the first game, Bardwell was okay, but he also committed a lot of turnovers. He had, 11 points, wasn't incredibly efficient. But the second game, he was dazzling. He had like 25 points and 7 rebounds or something like that. And, Eric, he was named he didn't play in the third game, still made it onto the All-Eurocamp team. And Eric Bossi of 24/7, who was there, basically wrote about how just insanely aggressive he was in the offensive end, and how after a first day on which the aggression was a little more wild, on the second day it was controlled and really just demonstrated how potent of a player he can eventually be. So I personally don't see Bardwell reclassifying into this class. I don't think KU has the need for it, and I don't think they have the money for it. So I would expect him to be a key part of the 2027 to 28 squad, and getting him, a 5-star in that class, was a big early win for Tony Bland shortly after his. And you also just don't usually get high-powered commitments that early these days. Like, they like to drag it out sometimes. So having Bardwell in the fold at this early stage is strong for KU. Now, we can talk about this more, but they may not be done adding to this year's roster. I just don't think that Bardwell is going to be that guy. As for Kinney, kind of a more mixed outing for him at the AmeriCup. So essentially he was part of a group of 32 athletes who were pared down to 12 who got to take part in the U.S. under-18 national team in this competition against other teams from the Americas that took place in Mexico from June 1st to 7th, and he was sort of their main point guard. And as Bill Self said to us in Topeka last week, it's an opportunity for him to practice running a team. Self has seen these sorts of experiences be fruitful for players in the past, and I think it probably ultimately will be for Kinney, but sort of a mixed bag. He didn't always shoot it incredibly well. He had some games where he put up solid assist numbers, some where he had more turnovers than you like, but overall the assist-to-turnover ratio was pretty good. Unfortunately for him, he got called for an offensive foul in the final seconds of the gold medal game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and with the U.S. down 2 with 6 seconds left, he got called for a charge, and Canada ended up missing 2 free throws, but Quentin Coleman missed a potential buzzer beater. And so Canada actually ends up winning its first gold medal in the event. And for the U.S., in 14 tries, they had 11 golds, and this is just their second silver, and they have 1 bronze. So not a great distinction in that case, but Kinney's level of play was solid, and for him to be among the 12 best American players in his demographic says something of the level of talent that he will now bring to Lawrence as he joins the rest of his teammates here on Mount Oriad.
Absolutely. 16.7 minutes per game in the under-18 FIBA Americas event for Tay Kinney. 7.4 points, 3.8 assists.
Yep.
Last thing before we get to our KU mailbag segment, I just want to kind of continue on Tay Kinney because you and I were talking over the weekend, and, I don't see how he's not maybe magnified as an individual as it relates to the whole team more than anybody else on next year's team. I mean, Stokes is going to be there, but there's a world where Tay Kinney is awesome and Kansas is a national contender. And there's probably a world where Tay Kinney is just kind of a middling Big 12 point guard. So do you agree the importance of his team or his individual performance for next year's team is rather vital?
Absolutely. KU only has so many options to handle the ball and run the offense on this team. If it's not Kinney, it's going to be Leroy Blyden. And we've already heard good things from Bill Self about Blyden, but I don't know that you want to put a huge amount of weight on him. I do think Stokes will initiate offense a lot of the time, but it might not be as programmatic and play-driven when he's the one bringing the ball up. But absolutely, it's a lot of responsibility for a freshman point guard to run Bill Self's offense, and we'll see exactly how that pans out. I think he has the acumen for it. I think he has the experience for it at a high level, certainly. But as the AmeriCup kind of showed, there's a range to take in these performances, and we'll see how experience over the course of this year helps him develop into the kind of 5-star caliber prospect that evaluators think he can be.
Yeah, and that'll be huge for KU if they're able to bring in a guy who plays not only complementary to Tyron Stokes, but you have somebody who's going to come in and be maybe as impactful as Tyron Stokes, even though he probably won't score quite as many points as Stokes, who's expected to be a top 10 pick in the NBA draft next summer. So we'll wait and see for KU basketball. A lot of talent, a lot of new faces, and a lot to break down. Hoping we have a media availability for some of the new guys. We had that.
Be nice.
That
was really helpful last year.
That little summer retreat that we had after Jacques Vaughn was recently hired. So if that's the case, of course, we'll have it for you here on Kansas Nation. Henry's going to stick around for our KU mailbag segment. That's coming up next right here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com.
What's up? I'm Bodie Ray with Kansas Baseball, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
The grass is growing fast, and the savings are growing even faster at Hanni. Dominate the season with this limited-time offer on the all-star lineup of Ferris zero-turn mowers and Hanni Repair and Hanni Outdoor Power Equipment. Get up to $1,000 instant rebate on a Ferris zero-turn mower. Flexible financing options available with approved credit. Offer ends June 30th. For details and big savings, see Hanni Repair in Valley Falls and Hanni Outdoor Power Equipment in Lawrence.
With Hanni, there's always hope for your yard.
$100 customer bonus on the 2026 Atlas and Atlas Cross Sport. $2,500 customer bonus on 2026 Tiguan models.
Hanni and the Hawks is presented by Jefferson's with 2 Lawrence locations. Home of the best wings in town, 21 signature sauces. You got to check them out. But if wings aren't your thing, how about a burger? They hand patty their certified Angus beef every single day. Also hand bread their tenders. They make their ranch in-house. There is truly something for everybody at Jefferson's. Go see my buddy Brandon Graham and the entire crew at Jefferson's, either on Mass or Wakarusa in Lawrence, Kansas.
Ultimate pool party sale at Family Leisure. Let us help you create the ultimate outdoor space. Jump into summer with exceptional deals on pools. Enhance the party with goggles, pool floats, toys, and outdoor games at guaranteed lowest prices. Dozens of in-stock sun loungers to choose from. Multiple shade solutions to choose from. Spas and swim spas at unbeatable prices. Add the finishing touch with an outdoor kitchen or bowl grill. Ultimate pool party sale going on right now at Family Leisure.
Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment. The grass is growing fast, and the savings are growing even faster over at Heinen. Dominate the season with this limited-time offer on the all-star lineup of Ferris zero-turn mowers at Heinen Repair and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment. Get up to $1,000 instant rebate on a Ferris zero-turn mower. Flexible financing options available with approved credit. Offer ends June 30th. For details and big savings, see Heinen Repair in Valley Falls and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment here in Lawrence. Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal World. Check him out. Give him a subscription. Really appreciate that. He does great work and has helped me with content for show this week. So appreciate that, Henry. And thanks for sticking around for one more segment as we've got KU Mailbag segment here.
By the people, for the people.
By the people, for the people. That's right. We can answer questions about food, dating advice. I haven't really done what I said I was going to do, which was, and maybe it's because there haven't been as many opportunities, but I've been promising to say all of Dan's Danisms all week. And I did it over on Monday. Couldn't find the bathroom, so I just went.
Yeah.
I was telling people over at Allen Fieldhouse, you can't take another water. Oh, no, thanks. I got to drive later. All of that.
It's hard to do it organically and also while actually doing a radio show.
I know. Yeah.
He's able to do it because that's his whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, God. I hope he's having a great time in Cancun. Can't wait for him to come back next week. But he's on a beach right now and drinking either a fruity little cocktail or a Modelo with a nice bright green lime. So hope he's enjoying himself. He and Piper on their honeymoon after a fantastic ceremony and reception on Saturday over in E-Town. Josh wants to know, can we expect continued success from KU baseball? I'm worried we will get our hopes up too high like we did for football. Interesting. Kind of following that up, Nick Springer was on the show yesterday, Henry, and Nick said he has concerns about the KU baseball program having postseason success or having another opportunity, I guess, to get to where they were, solely because they had so much success this year, won the outright title, won the tournament title, won 22 games in conference, all that, and they were still 15th in the eyes of the NCAA. So what are your thoughts kind of on that and the future of KU baseball?
Well, my initial reaction is that having a more established brand name always helps with your rankings going forward. So that will help a little bit in that realm. But yeah, it's a reasonable concern to have. Sort of like Fitz said after the last game, he retold an anecdote from when he was at DMAC in 2011, and they had gotten knocked out prematurely from the JUCO World Series, and he was forcing himself to watch the games with the teams that had continued on. And his wife basically said, "You're just torturing yourself here," and he said, and essentially the point of the anecdote was Kelly, his wife, went on to say, well, when you win it, they want you to win it twice, and when you win it twice, they want you to three-peat. And so there will be continued demands for greater success, absolutely. And if KU has a start like they did this year, fans will be annoyed, and the support at Hoagland might not necessarily be what it is until they recover. That's what happens when you win games. As for whether we can expect them to retain a high level of success, I think that they're doing some things to raise the floor of the program in a certain way. This is a way in which I've often discussed the KU football stadium project. By improving those facilities, it makes it more difficult for the football program to regress to the level it was at prior to Lance Leipold. You sort of have these safeguards in place because of just generally elevating things. You can in turn get better recruits and so on. With the indoor baseball facility going to become a reality at some point, they haven't released official plans, but Travis Goff said they were going to do it. With the indoor baseball facility going to be a thing, that means more robust off-season training. That means higher quality facilities. That means able to attract a higher level of recruit more consistently. I think that putting measures like that in place, and even the near term, the promise of measures like that, will help KU continue to have success. Can they always be expected to host a home regional and super regional? No. Will they probably be a program that is in the NCAA tournament pretty consistently going forward? I think so.
Yeah, and you're going to roll the dice if that's the case. Certainly, hopefully it gets to a point where if you're a top 4 team in the Big 12, you've got a good chance to host a regional, whereas it took the top 2 teams in the Big 12 to barely sneak into hosting a regional. And I get the SEC's got really good talent and all that. And, you can look at what Oklahoma did. Okay, well, KU beat Arkansas both games that they played them. So that has to adjust a little bit, I would think. Otherwise, you might be stuck in this, okay, no matter how good your season is, you're going to be in that 12 to 16 range, which isn't really fair. But like you said, hopefully more of an established brand, and Kansas has an opportunity. Springer acted like it was completely asinine that a top 16 seed wouldn't get out of the regional. I'm like, dude, this happens all the time. It's like the NCAA tournament. You're going to see upsets and that sort of thing. So I'm not as concerned about KU, never hosting a super regional because the top seed or the team that was ranked higher than them is never going to lose again. That's going to happen again. It's just, can we get to a point where if Kansas finishes in the top 4 consistently, which is probably the expectation now, given the fact that the bar has been raised, can they consistently be a regional host, which then gets you to that next step?
Yeah, even that is challenging, though.
Right.
I mean, this was the best KU season in more than 3 decades, and they were the second to last team chosen to host a regional. And programs like Arkansas don't always get to host a regional, So I would say we probably have quite a few seasons in which KU will be a 2 seed on the horizon, and that's fine. 2 seeds get out of regionals all the time, but I empathize with the concern, or maybe a feeling of regret that some fans might have, like, man, this was our chance to host a super regional and we didn't go forward, because it will be hard with the Big 12 and SEC disparity being the way it is for KU to be a top 8 seed. I mean, think about what they would have had to do to get a top 8 seed this year. They probably would have had to not lose
28-2 or something.
They would have had to not lose against Creighton and probably take 2 out of 3 from West Virginia and have all the other same results they did.
Right.
That would have been.
So you're talking about a record that would have been,
I was changing 3 losses to wins in that respect.
So 49 and
48 and 15 is what I'm talking. I guess that would be after the postseason.
48 and 15. So regular season.
Even then, we still have to bridge a 7-spot gap.
Yeah, no, really tricky. Well, I think we'll feel a lot more confident about how Kansas can do next season if we get some of those guys back. And again, it's one of those, you wish the best for them individually. They should do what's best for them. But I think fans would really like seeing names like Ballinger and Baldridge and Mungarieta in the lineup next year. Also, next year, Kansas has a lot of talented guys. We don't see this, it's not as easily accessible to us guys who commit on Twitter or otherwise to play baseball at KU, but you've got some insight on next year's team.
Yeah, I'll be happy to share a few of the key names. At this point, they've already got a lot of people committed. Even though this roster won't be characterized by quite as much turnover as the last 2 you would think, KU still got, let me see if I can get these numbers right. They've got 7 JUCO signees, 3 high school signees, and then 10-plus additional commitments that haven't been officially signed yet. And that's with 27 players who have remaining eligibility from this year's roster. So they're clearly anticipating a lot of draft departures and some transfer portal guys. But some immediate names to know. I will start with a couple of Aidens. Aiden Leeser is a pitcher, I believe he's from Iowa Western. There's Iowa Western and Iowa Central. I always get them mixed up. But he's a righty who was totally dominant this year. He had a 2.20 ERA. He started his career at Nebraska. Didn't play there and redshirted. then went at JUCO level and had a great season for a really high-quality team. I feel like he'll be a candidate for a high-level role next year. Did you look and see if it was Iowa Western or Iowa Central?
I should do that. No, right now
Okay.
I wasn't, but I should do that.
I saw you typing. I thought I was being fact-checked.
Do you ever see that? Like, I know you tune into our show occasionally, but do you ever see when Dan asks me something or when I say something and then I immediately go to my computer? It's like so transparent that I'm like trying to check and see.
That's what I thought was happening. So he's a guy to know. And then Aiden Moten from LSU Eunice, the school that sent Tyson LeBlanc to Lawrence, he batted north of 400 this year and was a big-time power hitter. I believe he plays first base. So he's a player to know, absolutely. They've gotten 2 transfers from 4-year colleges. It may not surprise followers of the Kansas baseball program to know that they are both from Division II schools, just because that's where KU has recruited a lot, and also because like the Division I transfer portal is just getting started. But so Jake Birkeland is a shortstop from Minnesota State, which is where Jackson Hauge came from, and he just came off a really solid season. And the other one is Logan Harrell from a school I had never heard of, Trevecca Nazarene.
I was actually just reading up on him the other day, right-handed pitcher, yes?
Yes, and he has had an interesting path because I believe his first year at Trevecca, he played in the field. He played like first base and right field. Then they moved him to the bullpen. And then as a junior, he became a starter and was second-team all-conference. So those are the 4-year guys. But there are so many more. You know, Gray Sanders might be familiar to some of your viewership here on Kansas Nation because he's from Mulvane. He allowed 1 earned run the entire season.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. He was the 4A player of the year, and Mulvane won the state title, I'm pretty sure. Now, of course, when you have a high school player that good, you run the risk that they'll just get drafted straight out of high school. So we'll see if that happens with Sanders. GT Taylor, which cool initials,
Great
by
initials.
The way. GT Taylor's an outfielder. He's from Christian Brothers College High School, which is kind of in the St. Louis suburbs.
We have had many battles with them on the gridiron over the past week, being Rockers Tie.
Yes, I deduced that.
Yes. Clutch deduction by you.
So, you know, KU has not had a lot of freshmen play significant roles in recent years, but with those 2 as well as Logan Honicle from my neck of the woods in Orange, California.
Orange, California.
Yeah. So they should have some high scorers who can potentially contend for roles next season. Other than that, I mean, there's so many more I could talk about. Ryan Chase, who's playing for your Woodchucks right now.
Chuck, yeah.
From Santa Fe College. Holden Grable, who was on a really good Cowley team this year. Oh, my God, I'm going to forget so many people. Ian Swanson. Keaton Fenn is a pitcher from Iowa. There's so many, and as you said, this is like not, especially because KU didn't put out the big release it usually does.
Right.
This information is not cataloged anywhere, but suffice it to say, it will be on KUSports.com.
Look at
tomorrow.
that. Nice plug. Yeah. Hey, that's great insight, though. That's a lot of good names and good background on those guys. So we'll see. But yeah, the question, I guess, as we're doing mailbag, I forgot about that. Continued success from KU baseball. I'm going to say yes, but yeah, it'll be interesting over the next couple years if KU has similar seasons to what they had. What will their overall seed be? And I think, you know, we'll kind of have to adjust. But yeah, the SEC has been king for a while. I mean, Vanderbilt and LSU didn't even make the tournament.
It's crazy
this year.
Cooper Moore.
Crazy. Oh, case of the Mondays.
Yeah, he was hurt.
That's right.
Though, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, still, he still put on that purple and gold. Didn't make the tournament. That's tough. All right. Next one. This is a hard hitter from EJ. If you have one, there's 2 categories. He says you can only have 1 dipping sauce for the rest of your life. First one: salsa, queso, or guac.
Okay.
Can only have one.
I can
of
only
those.
have one answer. Salsa.
Easily.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the versatility.
First of all, there are numerous kinds of salsa.
There you go.
If you say salsa, you can have molcajete. You're having salsa verde. You're having mango salsa.
Yeah.
You're having tomatillo salsa.
Great
queso. It's queso.
And you're fine never having queso or guac the rest of your life.
I feel a little bit bad about guac, but
Yeah.
I feel like there are some loopholes that I could use here. For instance,
sliced avocado with some pico
like
and
on
some
avocado
lime
toast
juice
or
and some
something.
garlic and some onion.
that sort of, well, I don't know that I'd
Mash
quite
it
go
up.
that far. That seems like against the spirit of the question. But queso, I'm fine having cheese in other forms.
Yeah, you know what? That's fair.
What about you?
I got to go salsa too. I mean, it's too versatile. The other one though is really tricky. Other category of dipping sauce: ranch, honey mustard, barbecue, Chick-fil-A sauce, Cane's, fry sauce, or anything else. Fry sauce is delicious.
I'm not hearing any mustard on there. I'm a big mustard guy.
To dip?
Sometimes.
You dip in regular mustard?
Oh,
Yellow
I
mustard?
guess you had honey mustard on there.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Well, I haven't really had a lot of Chick-fil-A sauce, but I feel like this is a pet peeve of mine. Every restaurant that has a signature sauce, it's the same sauce.
I disagree.
The In-N-Out secret sauce and the Chick-fil-A sauce and the Cane's, these all seem the same to me.
But they're not.
They're all
But they're
orange and they're vaguely Thousand Island.
Dominic vaguely? No, they're not though, okay? Because the cane sauce is more peppery. It's most similar to a fry sauce. It's very good. The cane sauce it's got kind of a pepper.
Okay.
I wouldn't say
I don't think I've had it.
spice.
I shouldn't
but
have painted with such a broad brush.
You should go to Cane's and get the 5-piece tenders. Hold the chicken. That way you've got slaw, you've got Texas toast, and you've got fries.
People like the toast.
Yes. Oh, it's awesome.
Famously.
It is so
I'm
good.
going ranch, by the way.
Yeah, I probably have to. It's kind of a cop-out, but I feel like that's the case. Chick-fil-A sauce, it tastes more kind of like a honey mustard barbecue hybrid.
I have
And
had
then
that one.
In-N-Out burger, which I'm not a fan of, and I know it's offensive to both Elijah and you. Of course, you grew up on that stuff out west. It's like sweet. It's like you get the animal style. It's like sweet. And also, the animal style fries, it's literally a Velveeta slice.
Yeah,
and,
that's rough.
And I don't know. I'm not a fan.
Some secret menu items should stay secret.
Yeah, I think so. I just wasn't a fan of that. Like, give me, like, Brahms, for example, which I didn't eat in Emporia, which is a huge mistake. Brahms, fantastic burgers. Freddy's,
I had
Wendy's.
a salad last time I was at Brahms.
They even offer that?
Yeah, it's actually not terrible.
Okay.
It had like a balsamic dressing.
That's actually good to know. Because sometimes you want to have something green. My wife's big on that. She has got to have something green in every meal.
Well,
I mean,
I think that
for health reasons.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally. Because when you go to Brahms, you're getting a
Yeah. And then you're probably getting a milkshake after. Michael wants to know, do you think Coach Self is open to the idea of a deeper rotation this year? We always get excited about the talent we have coming in, but it seems like we never go deeper than like 7, a la Jamarco McJackson. That's
Do I think
tough.
he's open to the idea of a deeper rotation? During the season, I think, how about this? I think we will see him, for reasons we've already discussed, play more players in the non-conference than he has
Not
before.
as difficult of a non-con on paper.
Yes.
Still really hard. I mean,
Yeah.
you got UConn, you got Duke, you got Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
We're
but
playing Duke, right? Aren't we?
There's been rumors that there's an exhibition against Duke.
Oh, that's right.
It's not on the real schedule,
So-
nor has it been announced.
So who's on the real schedule? We got Kentucky. It's not in front of me right now, but we got Kentucky, Villanova, UConn.
UNLV, West Virginia
oh,
or
yeah.
Auburn, Houston, Florida, Notre Dame or Rutgers.
Right.
The school that shall not be named.
Yeah. But Champions Classic
Ohio
is
State. Yes,
Champions
Classic is
Classic,
Kentucky this
Kentucky,
year.
Ohio State. That's right. I feel like we're forgetting one.
I mean, if you
Maybe
want to
we're
go
not.
through and list every game, Fordham, Middle Tennessee.
Do it in order.
Okay, let's see if I can do this.
Okay.
Okay, Fordham, Middle Tennessee.
November 2nd, November 6th.
Yeah, so those are the first two, and then there's the Champions Classic against
And
Kentucky.
that's Kentucky.
Next week.
Do you remember where it's at?
Yeah, it's in Chicago.
Yeah, you'll be there at United Center.
I will, and I've been there before, and it was cool. 3 years ago, also against Kentucky.
I was there for KU Miami 2022 Elite 8.
Okay, we're making me lose my train of thought.
Okay,
here. I
yep.
gotta get in a rhythm. UNLV, West Virginia or Auburn, Houston, Florida, Notre Dame or Rutgers. Now this is when it gets challenging because I'm pretty sure they have a game against Denver.
They do.
next.
Great pull. Great
Yes.
pull.
And then Villanova.
Yes.
And then the next one, this is Northern Iowa.
Yes.
Okay, now this is where it gets challenging. Okay, it's Mizzou. You gave me a little bit of a hint. I would have gotten it though because that's the same weekend they always play Mizzou.
Yeah.
Now there's a really stupid. No, they go straight from Mizzou to UConn, right?
Yes.
And then
Stores, Hartford, we don't know.
yes, we don't. I think it'll probably end up being Stores. Okay, so now I have to think about. I know the last one. Okay, so then it goes straight to the Ohio State game,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, and so then Indiana State and then New Orleans.
Look at you, Henry Greenstein. In order, KU's non-conference schedule. But yeah, I mean, going back to what we said, there's Kentucky, who is not. They're not Kentucky, really. I mean,
They did get Momcilovic.
Yeah. They got Mommy. They needed him, and they'll be a top 20 team. And I guess Kansas will be maybe a top 20 team, according to Gary Parrish. But it's not going to be like a top 5 Kentucky team.
Man, I am not.
UConn will be in the top 5.
I am not good at keeping the focus on the mailbag questions.
Neither am I.
But
we're tangents.
do I think Self will play a deeper rotation? Ultimately, no.
Ultimately, no.
When it gets down to crunch time, It will just come down to who earned his trust the best in those first few months of the season.
Okay, so I'm going to go kind of, again, a brief tangent here.
Okay.
I'm going to go Kenny.
I know what you want to do.
I'm going to go Kenny, Blyden, Stokes, Dawes, Big Paul.
Yeah.
And then Cole's going to play. Cole might start, of course. Reeves will be a rotation guy. You know, hopefully he gets past this surgery that he had.
Yeah. Parker.
And then Parker will be a rotation guy. So there's 8.
Yeah, but Self has
so
said
then
that
Barnett,
he thinks,
Perry, Adkins.
Yeah, I think Adkins is the leading candidate because of the position he plays.
Yeah.
He's also probably the best of the 3, but we don't really know. But Self has claimed that those guys are legitimate rotation pieces.
Yeah, which
or competitors to be rotation pieces.
Right. Again, you don't have very many programs that go that deep. You do have some, like Alabama and Arkansas in recent years have been able to get 10 guys out there, and there's a bunch of shooters and all that. But
remember when KU played Samford in the NCAA tournament and they would like sub out all
I remember
5
that
guys?
game. I remember that game. Shout out to Achor, former K-State legend.
Didn't he go to Mississippi State after that? And he may even be somewhere else now. I don't know how much eligibility he had.
Because he didn't actually play. Did he ever actually play a game for K-State?
I think so. And then he randomly left the team in December.
Achor, Mississippi State.
Yeah. But he may be done now. That might have been his last year.
Yeah. Wow. Some guys should stay at Samford. All right, next question here on KU Mailbag. Jenny wants to know, well, she says, the World Cup starts tomorrow. What's your interest level and who wins?
I had a feeling there would be a question like this.
Yeah.
My interest level is extremely high. I get pretty into the World Cup, and then I'm like, man, I need to follow soccer.
And then you forget for 4 years?
Yeah.
No, the Olympics.
The Olympics for soccer do not necessarily pique my interest that much.
Okay, fair.
But I follow the leagues casually in the time in between. I'm excited. This is the biggest World Cup yet. They expanded to 48 teams. It's happening domestically, and obviously we have the Algerian team right here in Warren, so there's more local and regional interest than usual. Who do I think wins? Spain.
I'll tell you right now that Spain is the odds-on favorite.
Okay, that makes me feel a little
plus
worse.
450, France plus 475, England at plus 750, Portugal is plus 800, Argentina defending their title plus 900.
Not having a team from the Americas in the top 4 favorites, Argentina and Brazil. Pretty low for
Argentina
them.
and Brazil are 5 and 6.
I think Spain. I think Lamine Yamal, who everyone already knows is really great, will prove his status as one of the top. He already is known to be one of the top players in the sport. I think it's a Lamine Yamal show. They've got a great goalie in Unai Simon. That's Pedri. What's your interest level?
Oh my God, you're saying a lot of things right now. I actually also get into the World Cup a lot.
Yeah.
USA's plus 6,000, by the way, just because there's matches going on all day, and we'll have them playing here at Kansas Nation.
Well, they're kind of late at night.
They're late at night. They're early in the morning, but that's what I like. We got a 2 p.m. kickoff tomorrow. I can't remember who it is. Who's the
Mexico and South Africa?
Okay.
I think.
World Cup opening match. Yeah, you got it. Group A, Mexico and
keep an eye on Alberto Mora for Mexico. He's 17 and is I think he might be the youngest player at the World Cup.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I believe he's a new phenom.
Okay.
Which is bad news for the U.S.
It is.
going forward.
No doubt. All right, we got 2 more here on our mailbag segment, and then we'll get Henry out of here. Cody says, would you rather be given $100,000 right now, or, this is a classic Cody question, or get $100 million if you beat a random human in basketball, but if you lose, you also die?
Oh, God.
You don't know who you could face. You could face a baby, or you could face LeBron. So would you rather have $100,000 right now, or $100 million if you beat a random human in basketball, but if you lose, you die? You could get a baby or you could get LeBron.
There might be
or
a way
anyone
to
in
do
between.
this with probability to figure out the expected value. Like what?
Oh,
like,
I'm sure there is.
Like
yeah.
what is the probability of me being a random human? By the way, you're a lot more likely to face a baby than to face LeBron.
That
1
is
out
true.
of 8 billion.
That is true. There's not a lot of LeBrons out there. How many babies are there in the world?
Oh God, I don't know. Like, I don't even want to.
And what constitutes a baby?
That's not. That's not worth discussing.
I'm saying how old, how many months old until they're officially.
You're the expert.
Yeah, I don't really know. Sometimes, one point the baby's like right here, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God.
I'm risk averse, so I'd probably take the 100,000.
Over 100 million. I don't like but if you lose, you die.
Yeah, that's the problem. One issue, one point that would detract from taking the 100,000 is not a lot of people around the world play basketball. Like if it was soccer or something, it would be harder. But basketball, while it is an increasingly global game, probabilistically speaking, I'm most likely to get someone from China.
Yes.
And the probability
could be Yao Ming.
It could, or it could be the 7'5" women's player.
Oh my God, that's right.
This?
Or it could be the 6'11" women's Texas Tech player.
Oh, I think she's 7'1".
Oh my God.
Stephanie Iwachukwu?
Yeah,
is it
sounds right. 7'1". Oh my God.
Yeah. Anyway, let's hope that those aren't any of the players. But I think I don't know. I think it would be hard for me to countenance doing anything in which I could die.
Yeah, I know. So I kind of want to take but if you lose, you die. That seems like Cody just did that. Because I think I'm going to that changes it for me, though. I think I would roll the dice for 100 million.
Oh, absolutely.
And then if I lose, I lose.
If there's no dying, the equation is completely different for me. I think that I can, again, basketball is not as popular in China or India as it is in the United States. From a probabilistic standpoint, those are the countries whose people I'm most likely to face.
That's true. Okay, I'm changing the question to 500,000 right now, or get 100 million if you beat a random. 500K is tough to say, but I mean, I feel okay about my basketball skills. I think I would roll the dice for 100 million if I won't die. We'll see.
I'm pretty bad.
We'll see.
Also, it's like someone officiating it. One problem with me is I was foul prone. I got fouled out of an intramural game once.
Is that because laterally you didn't have the quickness that you needed?
Probably.
Okay, fair. Last thing for you, Scott said last night the White Sox had a kid named Braden Montgomery making his major league debut, and he hit a walk-off bomb. Is that the coolest thing you can do in sports when you make your debut?
In all sports?
I think in all sports, yeah.
I mean, it depends what your favorite sport is. Like someone who's a cricket fan is going to say the coolest thing to do in your debut is get 1 million overs.
Yeah.
I don't know the rules of cricket.
I don't know the rules of cricket either, but I mean, I think a buzzer beater.
Yeah.
A buzzer beater in basketball would be great.
Is it harder to hit a buzzer beater in basketball or a walk-off home run?
Walk-off home run, for sure.
So if difficulty plays a role, then maybe a game-winning touchdown.
I mean, catching a touchdown.
I actually think game-winning touchdown is worse than either of those two.
Yeah. I think a walk-off homer. Again, Braden Montgomery, who came over in the Garrett Crochet deal, by the way. He, top prospect. They just called him up. I was reading an article this time yesterday about how the White Sox are calling this kid up, and then sure enough, at the end of the night last night, he hits a 2-run homer. I mean, yeah, anything that's epic. I mean, yeah, if you go to the first time I ever played professional hockey, I won gold for the USA and the Olympics. It's like that would be tough, but that's tough to beat though. A walk-off homer in your debut.
Walk-off home runs feel really good.
That's pretty legit. Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal-World. Appreciate your extended time today, my man. We'll have you back next Wednesday, where Courtwright and I will both be back here. But always appreciate the insight. Great stuff on KU baseball, and enjoy being in the thick of the off season right now.
I'm going to enjoy it for the next 4 weeks before Big 12 Media Days happen.
There you go.
Tell you that much. Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure, as always.
Of course. That's Henry. Again, give him a subscription, KUSports.com. Read his stuff on LJWorld.com. It's really important. More coming up here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com.
Hi, my name is Augusto Mungarrieta from Kansas Baseball. You're watching KansasNation.com.
Together, we're elevating our potential, our pride, our traditions, and our dreams. Together, we're opening up a whole new world of possibilities. Elevate your University of Kansas experience with Jayhawk checking from Central Bank. Central Bank and KU, elevating together.
Cash incentive. Get into a 2026 Tundra for 2.99 APR and a $1,000 cash incentive. 2026 Toyota Camry Hybrids 3.99 APR and 4Runner models 4.99 APR.
This is SSJ. Winter in Kansas City doesn't mean your lawn takes a break. It means smart homeowners get a head start. Let David and his crew from Custom Lawn and Landscape prepare your yard for a greener, healthier spring with winter fertilization, soil conditioning, and pre-emergent treatments that stop weeds before they start. Because when the snow melts, you don't want to start fixing your lawn. You want to already be winning. Trust Custom Lawn and Landscape, treating your yard now so it looks incredible later. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your winter services today.
Ultimate pool party sale at Family Leisure. Let us help you create the ultimate outdoor space. Jump into summer with exceptional deals on pools. Enhance the party with goggles, pool floats, toys, and outdoor games at guaranteed lowest prices. Dozens of in-stock sun loungers to choose from. Multiple shade solutions to choose from. Spas and swim spas at unbeatable prices. Add the finishing touch with an outdoor kitchen or pool grill. Ultimate pool party sale going on right now at Family Leisure.
Always appreciate Henry Greenstein joining the show. KUSports.com, LJWorld.com. He's been with us for a couple years now, and it's been really special watching him continue to do his thing and be a great reporter of all things KU. Hey, KansasNation.com is the place to be. Kansas Nation on Facebook, at the Kansas Nation, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, also at the Kansas Nation on YouTube. Give us subscriptions, likes, comments. We really appreciate that, and trying to grow this thing. So appreciate everybody who has been engaging with us. Talking a little Kansas City Royals here as we move on to our next segment. The Royals last night picked up a victory against the Texas Rangers. It was 5-3. It was all about Cags. Jack Caglione, 2 homers over at Kauffman Stadium. This is a guy that Royals fans have been clamoring for being in the lineup more. He's been sitting, not as often recently, but there was a long stretch where Cags was sitting against left-handed pitchers. The Royals, in general, have not done well against left-handed pitchers, but Cags, again, got it going. An 11-pitch walk in the second inning kind of set the tone for Cags and having such a successful night at the plate. He had a home run in the 5th inning, and then Nasty Nate Eovaldi, who gave up that homer to Caglione, was pulled because Skip Schumacher, the head man for the Rangers, didn't want Caglione to get another shot at Eovaldi. And what happens? Another homer. This one was against a lefty as well. So Caglione powers the Royals to a 5-3 series opening win over the Rangers. I think the sweep at the hands of the Rangers about a week and a half ago was kind of a, hopefully, at some point, we'll look at it as the basement part of this season for the Royals, because a couple of those games were winnable. They had a blown save from Lucas Erceg in which he did not record an out. That was rough. So now the Rangers are coming back. It's an opportunity for the Royals to say, hey, there's no reason that this team isn't as good as, if not better than, the Rangers. Royals, in addition to Caglione, got another solid outing from Stephen Kolek. Remember, Kolek was a guy who came over in the Freddie Fermin deal last year. Fermin has been pretty much a everyday catcher for the Padres this season, but he hasn't hit worth a lick. He's under the Mendoza line. Really good defensive catcher, and Royals fans love him a lot. But the Royals bringing in a guy like Kolek, who could potentially be a piece in this rotation for a while, that's a huge win in regards to J.J. Piccolo and the trade market that the Royals have had here in the past couple seasons. With the win, Kolek has his ERA down to 3.14. 5 innings, gave up just 1 run that was earned, 8 hits, but he scattered them as he struck out 3 and walked 1. The win went to Steven Cruz out of the bullpen. He improved to 1-2. An inning and a third, scoreless, hitless. He struck out 2. Daniel Lynch, a guy that I think has been in trade conversations for the Royals only because the Royals' record is what it is, and he's been so spectacular. He did give up a run, but he got another hold, and his ERA is at 1.98. John Schreiber, he's had a quietly good season. I loved what Lesky said couple weeks ago when we had him on about Schreiber. The Royals like him more than they should, and the fans hate him more than they should. But numbers speak for themselves at 2.77 for John Schreiber. And then the big story again is, while it wasn't perfect, Alex Lang gets the save. That's his 4th save, and he kind of has been the hot hand for the Royals this season, at least in the past 3 or 4 weeks. He really, really struggled, and Kansas City was looking for answers in terms of saves, in terms of who their closer is going to be. And Lucas Erceg went through that tough stretch. We'll still see Erceg at times at the end of games, but it's Lang who has been the hot hand, and his ERA all of a sudden is down to 3.9 as he gets that 4th save. So again, he gave up a base runner, but the Royals did enough, and they were able to put it together. Probably the most important thing about the game last night, you have the Caglione 2 homers, and now he was 3 for 3, moving his average to 261. His OPS is 780. He's only 22 years old. The fact that he was in the lineup, Salvador Perez was in the lineup, and Bobby Witt Jr. was in the lineup. Salvi went 0 for 4. He's still struggling at the dish, hitting just 201. And Bobby Witt was 0 for 3. He did walk and pick up a stolen base. But all 3 of those guys didn't appear in the Royals' last game on Sunday for various injuries. It was great seeing them back out there. And, of course, Caglione had the biggest impact. There's a world where Cags moves up in the lineup even more. Last night, he hit 6th. Salvi has been kind of quietly dropped down in the lineup. He's at 5th. The Royals' current lineup with how it's been, and while the offense hasn't been perfect, while the winning hasn't happened overly consistently, this is 6 wins in the last 8 games for the Royals, and the lineup has had Carter Jensen leading things off. He had a double and scored a run last night. Bobby hitting 2nd. That's going to be consistent. Michael Garcia, who hasn't really hit his stride offensively, but we certainly think that he will get there. He's been hitting 3rd. Vinny Pasquantino, whose numbers have been quietly, steadily improving. He's hitting 221, 659 OPS, much better than it was a month ago, hitting cleanup. And then Salvi at 5, Cags at 6. Michael Massey, who is also quietly having a good season. This is a guy who isn't necessarily a young gun anymore. He's 28 years old, and he's had some major league experience, dealt with some injuries. He's gotten an opportunity to play every day with Jonathan India being shelved for the rest of the season. Massey had a hit last night, 262 batting average, 743 OPS. That's going to play anytime for a guy toward the bottom of the lineup. Isaac Collins hitting 8th, and then Kyle Isbell, who we know is a defensive stalwart in center field. He hits 9th and kind of turns the lineup over. So there's a lot to like about what the Royals have been doing recently. Is it sustainable with having so many question marks in the back of the bullpen? I don't know. Is it sustainable with still having a lack of production holistically from the guys that you're heavily counting on, like Vinny Pasquantino, like Salvador Perez? I'm not sure on that front either, but take it one day at a time, and hopefully the Royals can stack those wins. Again, 28-39 is the record. The Royals still all sorts of season left. Talked yesterday about how they're not exactly out of postseason projection. Yeah, the percentages aren't good. They're going to get there. But again, we'll track this wild card because that's what we're going to do over the summer. The Royals, with the win and losses from both Texas and the Blue Jays, who hold those wild card spots right now, Royals are 4.5 back of a wild card spot in the American League. It is only June 10th. There's all sorts of time. American League Central, Royals are going to have to make up ground a little bit quicker. They and the Tigers both won yesterday. Cleveland lost to the Yankees. Cleveland's lost 3 straight games. Royals and Tigers are in the basement of the AL Central, but they're both just 8 games back. And again, got to remember there's so much time to go in the baseball season. That being said, as we talk about with Lesky ever so often, the MLB draft is coming up. The trade deadline is coming up. We're in the middle of that 37-game stretch that Lesky spoke of when we talked to him last week, where he said the Royals realistically probably got to win 25 games. And if you do that, at that time, the Royals, I believe, would be 2 under 500. If that's the case, then maybe you think about buying. As of right now, unless the Royals are able to keep going, you're probably still in sell mode with guys like Lynch, guys like Schreiber, and so on. But remains to be seen, and we'll have to continue to track it. But the bottom line is the Royals are very much feeling good about themselves right now. Caglione hitting 2 homers. That's a great first step. And, of course, now try to win a series tonight against the Texas Rangers. And you got to feel good about Seth Lugo being out there. Seth Lugo, 2-4, 3.91 ERA, though. and he is pretty consistent. He's about as consistent as any pitcher in terms of going out there and giving you an opportunity to win. The Royals would go up against the lefty. Again, they don't usually hit spectacularly against lefties, but Kaggs hit a homer off a lefty last night. Mackenzie Gore, who, of course, was a top prospect, the Nats organization, Padres, and now he's with Texas. He's a lefty. Expect Lane Thomas to be back in the lineup, likely leading things off for the Royals with Carter Jensen sliding down a little bit. So the Royals 28-39, hoping to get this momentum rolling here and win a series tonight against the Texas Rangers over at Kauffman Stadium. Could be a exciting homestand and getting the boys in blue back to playing some ball, as Bobby Witt Jr. would say, and hopefully a fun summer still ahead of us despite the rough first couple months of the Major League Baseball season. Hey, more coming up after this. Appreciate everybody listening on ESPN Kansas City and watching live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and, of course, on KansasNation.com.
I'm Tyson LeBlanc, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Ultimate pool party sale at Family Leisure. Let us help you create the ultimate outdoor space. Jump into summer with exceptional deals on pools. Enhance the party with goggles, pool floats, toys, and outdoor games at guaranteed lowest prices. Dozens of in-stock sun loungers to choose from. Multiple shade solutions to choose from. Spas and swim spas at unbeatable prices. Add the finishing touch with an outdoor kitchen or pool grill. Ultimate pool party sale going on right now at Family Leisure.
This is SSJ. Winter in Kansas City doesn't mean your lawn takes a break. It means smart homeowners get a head start. Let David and his crew from Custom Lawn and Landscape prepare your yard for a greener, healthier spring with winter fertilization, soil conditioning, and pre-emergent treatments that stop weeds before they start. Because when the snow melts, you don't want to start fixing your lawn. You want to already be winning. Trust Custom Lawn and Landscape, treating your yard now so it looks incredible later. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your winter services today.
$100 customer bonus on the 2026 Atlas and Atlas Cross Sport. $2,500 customer bonus on 2026 Tiguan models.
Together, we're elevating our potential, our pride, our traditions, and our dreams. Together, we're opening up a whole new world of possibilities. Elevate your University of Kansas experience with Jayhawk checking from Central Bank. Central Bank and KU, elevating together.
Welcome back here at KansasNation.com. Thanks to everybody listening over on ESPN Kansas City, watching live on Facebook, watching live on YouTube as well. Appreciate all of you. Likes, comments, subscriptions means a lot to us. Got to tell you about Central Bank, our partners here at Kansas Nation. Central Bank and Sporting Kansas City are bringing their Soccer Capital of America pop-up shops to communities across the metro. Stop by select Central Bank locations for discounts on official tournament merchandise, soccer games, giveaways, and the chance to get the limited edition Soccer Capital of America debit card. This Friday's pop-up shop is at Central Bank's West 6th branch in Lawrence from 9 to 5. You can view the full schedule of pop-up shops and get your Soccer Capital of America debit card by visiting soccercapitalkc.com. More soccer, more spirit, only at Central Bank, member FDIC. World Cup starts tomorrow. Exciting time. We got Algeria here in town. We've got a lot of great programs over in Kansas City as well, so can't wait to get that kicked off. Brian Hanni, special guest joining us here on Rock Chalk Sports. Appreciate you coming in, man.
Hey, man, great to see you.
You too. Of course, disappointing weekend for KU baseball. You did such a great job on the call with Kevin Wheeler, one of the all-time great guys in the business. Yeah. Absolutely love sharing some time with Kevin Wheeler. He literally, if you don't mind me telling this story, while we were in the rain delay, offered to take some of the cookies that Bodie Ray's mom baked to somebody in the parking lot across the street from Hoagland. Torrential downpour. He came back soaked as expected, but he also came back, unfortunately, still with the 2 cookies. They couldn't get linked up, but a great dude and a great player in his own right. Loved listening to your guys' coverage on the Jayhawk Radio Network.
Thank you for that shout out. We did get the cookies to the guy by the end of the night, thankfully. And that was kind of a personal pride thing. When we had a 5-hour and 9-minute weather delay at K-State earlier this year, we stayed on the air when K-State did not. And we trudged through 5 hours and 9 minutes, like a drive from Topeka to St. Louis on the air the entire time, because by golly, whether we won the game or not, we were going to win the weather delay. And that's kind of the similar outlook we had on, was that Sunday or Saturday
That would have been
night?
Sunday night, yep.
Yeah, they're all blending together at
Right.
this point. But we stayed on, and Kevin was great to run out there. I had offered these Bodie Ray's mom's cookies to any student that came up to the booth, and there was one guy that had tweeted at us, hey, we're out in the backyard, can you bring him? And that's how it came about. But yeah, he's so selfless, got completely soaked, couldn't find the guy, but came back with a smile on his face. I mean, that's Kevin Wheeler in a nutshell.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
yeah.
But no, fun week. Obviously had Roundball Classic before that, and yeah, it was quite a time. I know we're settling into that part of the summer where there's less going on in Lawrence, except for Algeria being here, obviously. But the way you guys keep the content flowing here on Kansas Nation, so impressive during the dog days of summer. So had to come by and say hi. I was having coffee with one of my all-time best students ever, Federico Moreno, who's back in town this week. And I thought, I got to show Fede this new studio.
Yeah.
And we got to see Sean Kellerman live.
How about that? Well, appreciate you guys swinging by. And yeah, we want to talk about the Roundball Classic. That was incredible. Just a final word on KU baseball, because you covered the team as close as anybody, and we've been recapping that. You heard from Coach Fitz, and got emotional post-game press conference talking about his family and the ride that it's been here in Lawrence. And certainly we expect a lot of great years, a lot of great success moving forward, individual success, the culture, the eye for talent, everything they've done. Didn't play well against Oklahoma, but what a ride it had to have been.
What a ride, and we started kind of putting it out there in late April that he should be the National Coach of the Year when it was becoming more obvious that Kansas was going to win its first regular season conference title in 77 years and have a chance to be one of the 16 national seeds at a cold climate school that's not a traditional baseball power. For folks that don't know how Coach of the Year works, whether it's a Big 12 Coach of the Year or a National Coach of the Year, the easiest predictor as to who's going to win it is who made the biggest leap based on preseason perception of your program, or in his case, 4 years ago, perception of your program to where you finish at the end of the year. And it just became increasingly obvious as the season went on that this guy should be on the short list for National Coach of the Year. So when that news came out yesterday from the Perfect Game, so cool to see that. He's the second Coach of the Year I've been blessed to work with in baseball from my years at Texas Tech. Tim Tadlock won it when I was down there, and it was a similar type deal. You take a team from the outhouse to the penthouse, and in this case, a program that I think is built to have sustained success going forward. You're going to say a lot of goodbyes to many groups of stars on this team. But then again, we'll see how the draft works next month. There might be one or two names that you think are leaving that'll opt to come back just because the culture is so good here and maybe the draft doesn't quite shake the way they think it might. But whatever happens with some of the guys that could be leaving, when you look at some of the recruits they've already gotten commitments from, the momentum that continues to build within this program. I mean, between the super regional round and the round that preceded it, the regionals, John Coyne's on the phone. He's getting recruits in. They're having officials. They are striking while the iron's hot. And so this thing is just going to continue to build upon itself. The way Travis Goff was using this fantastic window of baseball exposure and publicity to draw in more financial support for baseball than we've had in decades to try to fund an indoor down the right field line. Again, that's forward-thinking, opportunistic, take assertive approach type leadership there out of Travis Goff, and that's what you have to do if you want to not just be a one-hit wonder, but build it to be sustained and have year in, year out, Big 12 title contention. And so I'm pumped that he's our fearless leader for the indefinite future. The contract signed through the next 6+ years, and it just rolled over for another one-year extension with this year's success. So we're so lucky to have him. He wants to be in Lawrence, and so long as we continue to support him in the ways that Travis Goff and Sean Lester and our administration is, he wants to keep building this thing and make Kansas basketball a perennial power, not just in the conference, but in the country. And after we showed all of college baseball that Lawrence, Kansas belongs on that college baseball map as not just a regional or super regional host, but a raucous, fun atmosphere where folks are camping out to get in and making noise much bigger than the number in the attendance column should indicate. That to me is really exciting. And quite frankly, kind of unfathomable. If you would have asked me that 5 or 6 years ago, you covered the program during a really good 2014 season, and Rich Price's staff did a lot of great things here, but it was hard to sustain that success year in and year out. And so to think that Kansas would be hosting multiple NCAA postseason rounds and have some of the development things that have happened beyond left and right field and what could be happening with an indoor potentially, it just goes to show you that this is far above and beyond the stretch of the imagination and where it might have been 10 years ago, and that's largely credited to Dan Fitzgerald, but also Travis Goff and how in sync the two of them are in their vision for KU baseball.
Yeah, Coach Fitz talks about that all the time. The alignment is there. And again, we talk the culture and the talent evaluation. I mean, that's where it starts for KU and Coach Fitz. And yeah, so much fun. Are you going to have to start pushing the round ball deeper into the summer just because all of a sudden KU baseball is a national contender hoping to play late into June? I want you to talk on round ball, though. Another great game, another great event, and you've been really busy these past couple weeks. You had a birthday as well, so hope you had a great celebration on that front. But yeah, I mean, guys come back. Travis Relaford plays hero on the hardwood and raised a lot of money, again, for kids with pediatric cancer. Just kind of talk about the event.
Well, thanks for the chance to recap it real quickly. This was our 18th year. We're still collecting donations for the rest of the month and still bringing in some of the donor checks that came in, but I think we're going to be somewhere in the $260,000, $270,000 range for 2 nights of fundraising in Lawrence, Kansas. That's pretty good. We're very blessed to have some amazing donors, some amazing corporate partners, but players that are willing to come back every summer and make this a circled item on their calendar each and every year. This game this year, I think, was our best game ever. You mentioned the Travis Relaford buzzer beater. We had a group of players that was very heavy from the 08 title team and the 2022 title team. And I sold the guys like this. I said, hey, Coach Self is back. He's making a commitment for another year at Kansas basketball at least. We ought to try to get a reunion of all of his champions, and let's get everybody together. And you saw Coach at the game that night. He and Cindy were there, all smiles all night. He came the next night for our big round ball celebrity dinner fundraiser where we raised a ton of money. And I think for Coach, not to speak for him, but I think that was really fulfilling and exciting to see now 40-year-olds that he coached, all grown up with multiple kids, some of which were bringing their kids back for Bill Self basketball camp at the same time, like Keith Langford and Travis Relaford, which is really cool. But to him and Cindy, to see their smiles as they watch these guys up on stage, raising money for pediatric cancer, telling stories of their favorite Jayhawk memories, there was kind of a proud papa look on his face, and that was one of my favorite highlights of the weekend. So a ton of fun, and 5 awesome kids that are the primary beneficiaries. But based on the money we raised, there were 12 more kids on Thursday night that each got a $1,000 check as future stars, and we'll be able to bless 10 to 15 more kids with trips to Allen Fieldhouse and $3,000 to $5,000 checks over the next 6 months.
Incredible.
Which is our benevolence fund. So if you bought a ticket or made a donation or bought a silent auction item, just know that within this donation cycle, we'll benefit 30 unique kids based on what we were able to raise. And that's really exciting stuff when we can tell you the stories of the main 5, but do well enough thanks to your generosity to bless 25 more beyond that.
Absolutely. And you can still donate through the end of this month, if I'm not mistaken, rockchalkroundballclassic.com.
Bingo. Thank you for tossing that out. It's so many folks from all over Jayhawk Nation have sent in donations, and that's what warms my heart. People that weren't necessarily able to be at the game, or maybe they couldn't come to the dinner because they live 2 time zones away, but they still want to support the cause. Greg Ostertag made his broadcast debut later this week on that same website. We'll have the broadcast link up, plus it's airing on all of our TV affiliates this weekend on the 13th. So that's fun. I'm told that we didn't get kicked off the air. No F-bombs or anything like that. There were a couple of moments where he was showing pictures on his phone of like his toe had to be partially amputated. So maybe don't eat before you watch. But Ostertag, just as colorful of a character as our normal Greg who does the broadcast, Greg Gurley.
Who's somehow, kept trudging through all these years with no issues.
Him a year off. But he never showed us any pictures on his phone of random body parts, but at least that I know of. But Ostertag was great. So check out the broadcast. It'll be up later this week.
And then last thing, just of all the guys who came back, coaches, if you will, Christian Brown and those guys, who was your favorite interactions that you had with some Jayhawks of old? Because Fans love hearing about that. Yeah, Team Abaji, Team Brown, and you got to chat with all these guys. You got to bring them back to Lawrence and have a lot of really cool moments, whether it was the dinner, something somebody said, or at the actual game from some Jayhawks. Some of your heroes, some of all of Jayhawk fans' heroes.
I probably shouldn't tell some of the stories
That's
that
fair.
KT told from the stage on Friday night.
Okay.
A, you don't have the time, and B, I don't know if the birthday boy Chad Boger would want all this on
Yeah.
his family show here, but it was pretty funny stuff. KT stole the show. But Sharon Collins told the story from the main stage that he'd never told Russell Robinson before of something Russell had said to him to encourage him early in his career when he was going through a discouraging time. And here he is now, 17 years removed from the title, 18 years, and saying, hey, I never told you this, but this is how much that meant to me.
Wow.
I also saw on Thursday night after the game, we're hanging out at the 23rd Street Brewery, and Keith Langford, who made millions upon millions of dollars playing overseas in Russia, is giving advice to G and Gala on how he should pursue certain avenues to play professionally overseas. And again, that's the brotherhood of Kansas basketball. These guys are literally separated by 20 years, and yet Keith literally spent 30 minutes telling him, hey, this is an option you might want to consider, or this is a route you could take. And I thought, how cool is that an event like this brings guys together like that? Lastly, though, it was kind of a fun thing. Svi Mikhailuk, for years when he played here, dated Anise Havili, the KU Volleyball Hall of Famer and legend, All-American. They're now friends, no longer together like that. But she's back on staff for Matt Ulmer.
Yeah.
And when I told her Svi was coming, I said, hey, would you want to play? And I put you on the other team and you could guard him.
Yeah.
And like, just as like a surprise to Svi. And I'm like, would he be okay with that? She's like, oh, yeah, we're tight. And so they loved it. And that was
great.
fun to see that reunion.
Yeah,
as well.
that's great. I just want to see Matt Ulmer guarding Nate Lee, who wasn't able to make it, but that would be good because they both had celebrity appearances
They did.
at times in Rock Chalk Roundball Classic. Speaking of great hires that Travis Goff has had,
gosh,
how
so
about
many.
that? Well, Brian, really appreciate you coming on. And again, congrats on all the success. RockChalkRoundballClassic.com. You still have time to donate. Not affecting just the 5 primary beneficiaries, but dozens of other kids. You do great work, and it's always great having the guys back in town as well. So appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, buddy. And thanks for the great job you did on the baseball broadcast
Of course.
as well.
Yeah, it was great catching up with some Jayhawks of old. More coming up to close things down here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com.
I'm Tate Baldridge, and you're watching Kansas.
With a $1,500 cash incentive. Get into a 2026 Tundra for 2.99 APR and a $1,000 cash incentive. 2026 Toyota Camry Hybrids 3.99 APR and 4Runner models 4.99 APR.
This is SSJ. Winter in Kansas City doesn't mean your lawn takes a break. It means smart homeowners get a head start. Let David and his crew from Custom Lawn and Landscape prepare your yard for a greener, healthier spring with winter fertilization, soil conditioning, and pre-emergent treatments that stop weeds before they start. Because when the snow melts, you don't want to start fixing your lawn. You want to already be winning. Trust Custom Lawn and Landscape, treating your yard now so it looks incredible later. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your winter services today.
Ultimate pool party sale at Family Leisure. Let us help you create the ultimate outdoor space. Jump into summer with exceptional deals on pools. Enhance the party with goggles, pool floats, toys, and outdoor games at guaranteed lowest prices. Dozens of in-stock sun loungers to choose from. Multiple shade solutions to choose from. Spas and swim spas at unbeatable prices. Add the finishing touch with an outdoor kitchen or pool grill. Ultimate pool party sale going on right now at Family Leisure.
Hi there, Gary Joslin with Joslin's Jewelry. I'm not the class ring company. I'm a mom and pop jewelry store for 42 years. We were recently voted the gold medal #1 jewelry store in the greater Kansas City area by Ingram's Magazine. Come see us at Joslin's Jewelry, 9529 Antioch. Joslin's Jewelry, the jeweler you'll recommend to your friends and family.
Joslin's Jewelry, for the best that's yet to come.
Big shout out to Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com for swinging by for an extended interview and mailbag segment a little bit earlier. And also Brian Hanni, the voice of the Jayhawks, coming by to recap the Rock Chalk Roundball Classic. If you missed anything from today's Rock Chalk Sports. You can check it out on YouTube, or of course, audio format. You can check it out on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Thanks for sticking with us here as we have officially reached the off season with KU baseball, now in off season mode as well. But we've got a lot to get to. Later this week, we're going to be joined by David Lawrence from the Jayhawk Radio Network, former Jayhawk captain of Kansas football. He's going to talk Kansas football 2026. We're also going to be joined by Shreyas Laddha on Friday, Kansas City Star, Kansas City Sports Network. Shreyas is a NBA guru, and he is going to talk NBA draft as well as give his thoughts on this upcoming KU basketball season, so you don't want to miss that here on Kansas Nation. Spring and summer are made for backyard fun, and nothing ruins outside fun more than fleas, ticks, and chiggers. That's why families trust Custom Lawn and Landscape to help keep their lawns beautiful and protected all season long. They've got a home insect control program that helps defend your yard from pesky bugs so your pets and loved ones can enjoy the outdoors more comfortably and safely. Right now, when you sign up for the season, your first application is absolutely free. That's right. The first application is free. It's a simple way to take back your backyard this spring and summer. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your free first application with the Seasonal Insect Control Program. Custom Lawn and Landscape, helping you love your lawn without the bugs. Couple quick updates. But first, anybody who doesn't know, because I had to do some research on this a little bit earlier today, the World Cup format, and I'll go through the groups as well. There's a 48-team field for this summer's tournament that's taking place in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. During December's World Cup draw, 42 teams that had qualified were placed into their respective groups. 6 groups were slotted with the winners of the playoff finals. The U.S., they've already qualified, or had already qualified due to being tournament hosts. They were already slotted into Group D. They're going to begin their tournament Friday at SoFi in Inglewood against Paraguay. The Americans will then play Australia before finishing the group stage against Turkey, which beat Kosovo on Tuesday to qualify. Canada is in Group B. They're going to open against Bosnia and Herzegovina on Friday in Toronto, and then they will take on Qatar and Switzerland. Mexico, they, as Henry said, will get the honor of hosting the opening match of the World Cup. That's going to be tomorrow at 2 p.m. So before we're on air, the World Cup will have begun. It will be Mexico against South Africa at Estadio Azteca in Mexico City. The Mexico co-hosts will also face Korea and Czechia in Group A. I won't go through all the qualified teams in the World Cup, but I will let you know what the format is. 48 teams were drawn in 12 four-team groups. Each team will play 3 games within its group to determine the countries that will advance to the knockout round stage. There will be 32 teams advancing to the knockout round following the group stage. The top 2 teams from each group will move on, along with the 8 best third-place teams. That's how they get from 48 to 32. Tiebreakers will consist of, in this order, goal differential, goals scored, head-to-head play, fair play record, and then drawing of lots. FIFA, for this particular World Cup, has made some tweaks. In the pursuit of competitive balance, 2 pathways have been created to the semifinals that will prevent the 2 highest-ranking teams from meeting before the final should they win their respective groups. For example, Spain is the highest-ranked team in the tournament, with defending champion Argentina ranked second. Those 2 nations were drawn into opposite pathways. It's the same for France, who's number 3, and England, who's number 4. So the top 4 teams, should they win their groups, it's like a bracket format, will not meet until the semifinals. Run through the groups really quickly. Won't go through the match schedule and where to watch, but again, the opening match is tomorrow at 2 o'clock, Mexico versus South Africa in Mexico City. Group A, Mexico, South Africa, Korea, and Czechia. Group B is Canada, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Qatar, and Switzerland. Group C is Brazil, Morocco, Haiti, and Scotland. Group D is where the USA is, Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey. Group E, Germany, Curacao, Ivory Coast, and Ecuador. Group F is Netherlands, Japan, Sweden, Tunisia. Group G is Belgium, Egypt, Iran, and New Zealand. Group H is Spain, Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay. Group I is France, Senegal, Iraq, and Norway. Group J is Argentina, Algeria, who's here, of course, in Lawrence, Austria, and Jordan. Group K is Portugal, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Uzbekistan, and Colombia. Group L, England, Croatia, Ghana, and Panama. So those are the groupings for the World Cup. the knockout round schedule, which again is the round of 32, will begin Sunday, June 28th at 3 p.m. And the knockout round will go from June 28th through Friday, July 3rd. And of course, Arrowhead Stadium in KC will be a big part of this. So the 28th through the 3rd, once you get to the 32, that's when the knockout round begins. The round of 16 will begin on the 4th of July and go through Tuesday, July 7th. Quarterfinals will be Thursday, July 9th through Saturday, July 11th. Semis will be Tuesday, July 14th and Wednesday, July 15th. Third place game, Saturday, July 18th, and the final is Sunday, July 19th. For what it's worth, the final game taking place in Kansas City will be one of the 4 quarterfinals, Saturday, July 11th at 9 p.m. Again, that'll be at Arrowhead. That'll be the final game. The final of the World Cup will be at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Again, that's Sunday, July 19th at 3 p.m. So USA and Paraguay, the first game for the United States. First match, that's going to be Friday. And looking forward to the kickoff there after things officially get kicked off with Mexico and South Africa tomorrow at 2. NBA Finals tonight. Quick word on the Stanley Cup. That series is now tied 2-2. Carolina Hurricanes and the Vegas Golden Knights. Knicks and Spurs, Game 4 tonight at 7:30. Knicks at home at Madison Square are minus 2.5. Over-under is 216.5. In terms of reading the line for this game, anybody who's been following or watching the show knows that I like the value in the Knicks essentially since the beginning of this thing, where they were, I believe, plus 145, plus 155 to win the series. The Knicks, after winning 2 of the first 3, are still favorites, but their line of winning the series dropped significantly after dropping Game 3 at home. After Game 2, where the Knicks had won 2 games in San Antonio, the Knicks were minus 500 to win the series. Spurs go to Madison Square. They steal Game 3 as the road team has won all 3 games in the series. Now the Knicks are just minus 190 to win the series, odds according to DraftKings. The Spurs are plus 160. So the Spurs certainly have a much better chance after winning Game 3 at Madison Square. Slightly, the Knicks are still favored tonight at home. Will a home team win their first game? Well, we'll have to wait and see. The public thinks potentially, but again, not a very big line. I've said throughout that I think the Knicks are going to win this series. I predicted the Knicks to win Game 2 in San Antonio as underdogs. I predicted the Spurs to win Game 3 at Madison Square as underdogs. And even though I like the Knicks, again, I think I'm going back to the Spurs. I think they're going to steal another one at Madison Square and even this thing out at 2-2. So Spurs plus 2.5, I like here. I do like the over 216.5. When you look at player props, you look immediately at Wemby and Brunson. I think Brunson's going to continue to be a volume guy. Give me him 28 plus points at minus 111. I like also some defensive stats in this game, which aren't as easily accessible, but OG Anunoby on the 2+ steals. He's a guy who's been a fantastic defender ever since he arrived. And also, I think Julian Champagnie has value at 3+ threes at plus 126. So those are my selections tonight. Game 4 of the NBA Finals, Knicks lead at 2-1. It's at Madison Square, Knicks and Spurs. Big shout out to our guests today and Elijah Schmidt for running the operations. Thanks to everybody sticking with me on ESPN Kansas City, live on Facebook, live on YouTube, live on KansasNation.com as well. Appreciate it. Can't wait for tomorrow's show. Thanks as always for checking in on Rock Chalk Sports. For Elijah Schmidt, Sean Kellerman saying we'll catch you tomorrow from 4 to 6, ESPN Kansas City.
$3,500 customer bonus on the 2026 Atlas and Atlas Crossport. $2,500 customer bonus on 2026 Tiguan models.
Hello, it's Mark Whitlow from Office Products Alliance. OPA is not just your local office products connection. We have expanded our offerings to network cabling installation, security cameras, door access, and IT services. We all need to keep pace with new technologies. You can trust a Kansas City company that has been your partner for 32 years. Check us out at opakc.com. Supporting local businesses and our community is more important than ever.
ultimate pool party sale at Family Leisure. Let us help you create the ultimate outdoor space. Jump into summer with exceptional deals on pools. Enhance the party with goggles, pool floats, toys, and outdoor games at guaranteed lowest prices. Dozens of in-stock sun loungers to choose from. Multiple shade solutions to choose from. Spas and swim spas at unbeatable prices. Add the finishing touch with an outdoor kitchen or pool grill. Ultimate pool party sale going on right now at Family Leisure.
We've got Mahindra, the #1 selling farm tractor in the world.
While you're making your chores list, put a new Mahindra tractor at the top of it. For a limited time at Hanni Repair and Hanni Outdoor Power Equipment, get 0% financing for 84 months, plus cash back on select new Mahindra tractors with approved credit. Don't miss out. Offer ends June 30th. For details, see Hanni Repair south of Valley Falls and Hanni Outdoor Power Equipment in Lawrence.
With Heinen, there's always hope for your yard.